This audiobook reveals the ancient secret of the backwards law. When you chase desires slip away. But when you surrender, life flows to you. Discover how letting go becomes the key to receiving everything you've ever wanted. The backwards law introduction. In the depths of ancient wisdom lies a truth so startling it challenges everything you believe about achievement and success. This truth, whispered through the corridors of time, reveals that your very pursuit of desires may be what keeps them at bay. Think of water. When you grasp at it, it slips through your fingers, yet when your palm lies open and still, it can hold the water with ease. This is the essence of the backwards law, a principle so fundamental to the UN that its simplicity has been obscured by centuries of misguided thinking. You have been taught that to receive you must chase, to achieve you must struggle, to succeed you must fight. Yet these very actions create resistance. In the universal flow of abundance, the harder you push, the more the universe pushes back, maintaining perfect equilibrium in its cosmic dance. The masters of manifestation understood this paradox, that they knew that true power lies not in forcing, but in allowing, not in pursuing, but in becoming magnetic, not in demanding, but in surrendering to the infinite wisdom of the universe. When you release your white-knuckled grip on your desires, something miraculous happens. The very things you've been chasing begin to chase you. Opportunities that seem distant now appear at your doorstep. Abundance that felt scarce now flows freely into your life. This is not magic, it is natural law. Just as a flower doesn't strain to bloom, and a river doesn't force its way to the ocean, your desires need not be wrestled into existence. They simply need to be allowed. The backwards law reveals that your power lies not in doing, but in being, not in seeking, but in knowing, not in wanting, but in having. This subtle shift in consciousness from desperate pursuit to calm allowing is the key that unlocks the universe's infinite abundance. You stand now at the threshold of this ancient wisdom. The path before you requires no effort, only awareness, no struggle, only surrender, no force, only flow. Part 1. Awakening to the backwards law, dismantling illusions, and understanding the true nature of manifestation. Chapter 1. The law that was hidden in plain sight. In the quiet corners of a bustling city lived Henry, a painter, whose brush strokes carried dreams of recognition. For 15 years he knocked on gallery doors, sent countless portfolios, and chased every opportunity with desperate determination. Yet the more he pursued acclaim, the more it seemed to slip through his fingers like grains of sand. Then one winter morning, exhausted from the endless pursuit, Henry did something unexpected. He surrendered. I paint because I must, he whispered to his empty studio, not because I seek approval. In that moment of release, something shifted in the universe. Within weeks, a prominent lector happened upon his work in a small cafe where Henry had casually displayed his pieces. The recognition he had chased for so long now chased him. This universal principle operates with unwavering precision. When you grasp tightly at what you desire, you create resistance. The very energy of wanting pushes away that which you seek. It is like trying to catch your own shadow. The faster you run, the faster it flees. The ancient masters understood this divine paradox. They knew that the universe responds not to force, but to alignment, not to desperation, but to allowance. The quantum field itself, the very fabric of reality, reacts to your energetic state. When you release the energy of seeking, you become open to receiving. Margaret's story mirrors this truth. For 20 years, she searched for love with an intensity that left no room for it to enter naturally. Every date became an interview, every interaction waited with expectation. It was only when she found peace in her solitude, when she released her grip on the need for partnership, that love found its way to her door. 3 men began pursuing her within months of her letting go. The universe operates through paradox. What you chase runs away, what you allow flows towards you. This is not merely spiritual wisdom. It is a fundamental law of energy and consciousness. When you stop trying to force the river of life to flow in your direction, you discover you've been standing in your own stream all along. Now, as you absorb this wisdom, you are invited to practice the art of release. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Bring to mind something you have been chasing: success, love, abundance, recognition. Feel the tension in your energy field around this desire. Now imagine opening your hands and releasing this pursuit into the universe. Breathe deeply as you say, I release my desperate need for this outcome. I trust in divine timing. What is meant for me cannot miss me. Repeat this practice daily, watching as the universe responds to your surrender with unexpected gifts. Chapter 2. The Great Paradox. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, James toiled endlessly in his pursuit of wealth. Each morning, he rose before dawn, his mind already racing with schemes and strategies. He attended every business seminar, read every manual, and worked 16-hour days until exhaustion clouded his vision. Yet despite his relentless efforts, financial success remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like morning mist. You see, James embodied a truth that lies at the core of all manifestation. The more desperately you chase, the faster your desires flee from you. His struggle was not unique, but rather a reflection of humanity's deepest misconception about success. The universe operates through the law of least effort. Look to nature. Flowers do not strain to bloom. Rivers do not force their flow to the ocean. They simply allow their natural state to unfold. This principle echoes through quantum physics, where observation alone alters reality, and through ancient Eastern wisdom, which teaches that wu-wei non-doing is the highest form of action. When James finally collapsed from exhaustion one evening, something extraordinary occurred in his surrender. He discovered a profound truth. His striving had been creating resistance to the very abundance he sought. The moment he released his death grip on success, the universe began conspiring in his favor. A chance meeting led to an effortless partnership, and within months wealth flowed into his life with graceful ease. This principle manifested similarly in Alina's journey. As a writer, she had battled writer's block for years, forcing words onto empty chapters. Her creativity withered under the weight of her expectations, until one day she stopped trying to write altogether. She began taking long walks, letting her mind wander her freely. To her amazement, stories began flowing through her naturally, as if they had been waiting for her to step out of their way. You see, struggle is not a prerequisite for success. It is the very obstacle that prevents it. When you release the need to control every outcome, you align with the natural flow of universal abundance. This is not passive resignation, but rather active allowance, a state of receptive awareness that attracts rather than pursues. Consider the ocean. You cannot grasp water by clutching at it. Open your palm, and it pulls naturally in your hand. This is the way of manifesting all desires. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your state of being. The ancient practice of letting go begins with a simple breath. Find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring awareness to any area of your life where you have been striving. Feel the tension of effort in your body now. With each exhale, release the tension. Imagine your desires as leaves floating on a stream. You need not chase them, for the current naturally brings them to you. Chapter 3. The illusion of control. In the heart of a great city lived a merchant named David, whose hands gripped life so tightly the joy slipped endlessly through his fingers. Each morning, he would meticulously plan every minute of his day, attempting to orchestrate each interaction, each outcome, each moment, with precise detail. Yet the more he tried to control his world, the more it seemed to spiral into chaos. You have known this feeling, the tying in your chest, when life refuses to follow your carefully laid plans. Like David, you may have discovered that the harder you try to direct the river of life, the more it rebels against your will. The universe operates through a divine paradox. That which you attempt to control ultimately controls you. When you grasp at happiness, it becomes as elusive as trying to hold water in a clenched fist. When you attempt to force life into your desired shape, you only succeed in distorting its natural beauty. Martha's tale mirrors this truth. For decades, she constructed walls of protection around her heart, carefully screening potential partners through endless lists of requirements. She monitored her relationships with vigilance, always ready to detect the smallest sign of threat. Yet love remained a distant dream. Until the day she realized her very protection had become her prison. In her surrender came salvation, when Martha finally released her grip on finding love. When she allowed life to unfold in its own perfect timing, everything changed. She discovered that security wasn't found in control, but in trust. Trust in the natural flow of life, trust in the wisdom of the universe, trust in her own inner guidance. This ancient wisdom speaks to you now. All that you seek is seeking you, but it cannot enter through closed doors. Your desire to control is born of fear, yet fear itself is the only thing blocking your path to freedom. To begin releasing control's grip on you, life, practice this sacred ritual of trust. Each morning, identify one small aspect of your day that you typically try to control. It might be your commute to work, a conversation with a colleague, or even the weather's impact on your plans. Make a conscious choice to release your grip on this one thing, allowing it to unfold naturally. Notice how life flows more smoothly when you step out of its way. As you practice this gentle art of letting go, you'll discover that what you've been seeking was never meant to be captured, only allowed. Chapter 4. The magnetic power of stillness. In the bustling heart of commerce, Frederick paced his office late into the night, surrounded by scattered papers and endless to-do lists. His mind raced with solutions, each one more complex than the last, yet success remained tantalizingly out of reach. The harder he pushed, the more his business seemed to resist his efforts. You too have felt this restless drive, the constant need to act, to solve, to force your way forward, yet within this ceaseless motion lies the very barrier to your success. The ancient masters understood a truth that modern society has forgotten. Power resides not in endless action, but in sacred stillness. When you cease the eternal doing, and the realm of being, you tap into the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. This is not mere idleness, but rather a state of heightened receptivity, where solutions emerge naturally like flowers blooming in their own perfect time. In quantum physics, particles exist in multiple states until observed, a phenomenon that mirrors spiritual truth, that possibilities remain fluid until consciousness engages them through focused attention. Your constant movement, your relentless seeking actually collapses these infinite possibilities into limited outcomes. Clara discovered this wisdom through her own journey as a renowned musician. She had always believed that mastery came through endless practice and forceful repetition, yet her breakthrough arrived only when she learned to listen to the silence between the notes. In stillness, she found the music that had always existed within her, waiting to be expressed. This principle extends beyond the realm of art into every aspect of existence. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its guidance comes not in the whirlwind of activity, but in moments of quiet receptivity. When you learn to be still, you align with the natural rhythm of creation itself. To access this transformative power, embrace this ancient practice of stillness each day. Create a sacred space of silence. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Don't try to empty your mind. Simply observe your thoughts without engaging them, like watching clouds pass across the sky. Begin with 5 minutes and gradually extend this time as you become comfortable with stillness. In these quiet moments, hold your desires lightly in your consciousness, not as desperate wishes, but as seeds already planted in fertile soil. Trust that in this stillness you become a magnet for divine inspiration and effortless manifestation. Remember, the universe's most powerful forces, gravity, electricity, magnetism, operate in complete silence. Your own power emerges not from what you do, but from who you become in moments of sacred stillness. Chapter 5. Why you must lose yourself to find everything. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, Robert stood before his bathroom mirror, surrounded by self-help books, affirmations taped to every surface, and an endless list of habits he needed to develop. Each morning, he would scrutinize himself, searching for flaws to fix, qualities to enhance, and aspects of himself to improve. Yet with each new technique mastered, each habit formed, each affirmation repeated, he felt increasingly hollow. You have walked this path to the endless journey of self-improvement that paradoxically leads you further from your true essence. The ancient wisdom traditions speak of a profound truth. Your relentless pursuit of becoming better is the very veil that obscures your innate perfection. The universe operates through a principle of wholeness, not fragmentation. When you constantly seek to improve yourself, you unconsciously affirm that you are incomplete, broken, insufficient. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating an endless cycle of seeking that can never be satisfied. True transformation occurs not through addition, but through subtraction. It is not about becoming something new, but rather about removing the layers of false identity that conceal your authentic nature. Like a sculptor who reveals the masterpiece, by removing excess stone, your path to power lies in releasing what is not truly you. Edna, a gifted musician, spent years trying to become what she thought a great artist should be. She studied countless techniques, mimicked famous performers, and forced herself into a mold of perfection. Yet her breakthrough came only when she stopped trying to become anything at all. In letting go of her carefully constructed identity, she discovered a voice that had always existed within her, pure, authentic, and completely original. This truth extends beyond artistry into every dimension of life. The more you try to fix yourself, the more you reinforce the illusion that you are broken. The more you strive to become something, the further you drift from who you truly are. To access your authentic power, practice this ancient ritual of identity release. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Bring to mind all the labels you've attached to yourself, all the things you think you should be or become. Now, one by one, let them dissolve like morning mist in the sun. Feel the lightness that comes with each release. Watch as each identity falls away. Achiever, striver, seeker, broken, ink, complete. Don't rush to fill the space left behind. Simply rest in the awareness that remains when all labels are gone. In this space of pure being, you'll discover that what you've been seeking has been present all along. Your true power lies not in becoming, but in being. Not in adding, but in releasing. Not in fixing, but in recognizing the perfection that has always been your natural state. Chapter 6. The observer's power in the hallowed halls of a prestigious research institution. Charles peered through his microscope, observing quantum particles day after day. He noticed something extraordinary. The mere act of watching these particles altered their behavior. This revelation shook the very foundation of his scientific understanding, leading him to an ancient truth that mystics had known for millennia. You stand threshold of this same discovery. Just as Charles found that observation changes reality at the quantum level, you too possess this transformative power of awareness. When you step back and become the witness to your thoughts and emotions rather than being entangled within them, you initiate a profound shift in your reality. The universe responds not to what you think, but to your relationship with those thoughts. When you merge completely with a negative thought pattern, you become that pattern. But when you create space between yourself and your thoughts, you activate your power as the observer, the consciousness behind all experience. This principle extends far beyond the laboratory. Your thoughts are energy and motion waves of possibility. Until observed by learning to watch them with detachment, you collapse these waves into the reality of your choosing. This is not mere theory. It is the practical application of both quantum mechanics and timeless spiritual wisdom. Beatrix discovered this truth during her darkest hour. Consumed by anxiety and fear, she had always been at the mercy of her emotional storms. Then she learned the art of witnessing. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," she learned to observe. There is anxiety present. This subtle shift created a space between her true self and the temporary weather of her emotional state. In that space, she found freedom. As she mastered this practice of detached observation, her reality began to transform. The emotions that once overwhelmed her became passing clouds in the vast sky of her awareness. She discovered that she was not her thoughts, not her emotions, but the eternal witness to all these temporary phenomena. To access this power of the observer, practice this ancient technique. When a negative thought or emotion arises, don't fight it or try to change it. Instead, step back into the position of the witness. Notice the thought or feeling as if watching it on a screen. Say to yourself, "I observe this thought," rather than, "This is my thought." Feel the space between your awareness and the thought itself. Rest in that space. Notice how the thought begins to lose its grip when you're no longer identified with it. This is the power of detached observation, the same power that changes reality at the quantum level, now working through your consciousness to transform your life. Chapter 7, the secret force that pulls reality to you. In the bustling marketplace of the city, Arthur stood behind his counter watching potential customers pass by. For years he had mastered every sales technique, memorized countless scripts, and perfected his pitch, yet success remained elusive. Each day became an exhausting performance of trying to convince people to buy, until one remarkable morning, when everything changed. You see, Arthur had fallen ill, the day too weak to maintain his usual enthusiastic approach. He simply stood quietly, offering genuine smiles to those who caught his eye. To his astonishment, more people stopped at his stand than ever before. Without the pressure of his sales tactics, customers felt drawn to his authentic presence. They lingered longer, asked questions, and purchased more than when he had tried to sell. This principle governs all aspects of life. The law of reverse effort reveals that the more you chase, the more life resists. When you release the need to make things happen, you align with the natural flow of universal energy. This is not passive resignation, but active, allowing a state of receptive awareness that magnetizes your desires to you. Think of water mist in the sun. Feel the lightness that comes with each release. Watch as each identity falls away. Achiever, striver, seeker, broken ink, complete. Don't rush to fill the space left behind. Simply rest in the awareness that remains when all labels are gone. In this space of pure being, you'll discover that what you've been seeking has been present all along. Your true power lies not in becoming, but in being, not in adding, but in releasing, not in fixing, but in recognizing the perfection that has always been your natural state. Chapter 6, the observer's power in the hallowed halls of a prestigious research institution. Charles peered through his microscope, observing quantum particles day after day. He noticed something extraordinary. The mere act of watching these particles altered their behavior. This revelation shook the very foundation of his scientific understanding, leading him to an ancient truth that mystics had known for millennia. You stand at the threshold of this same discovery, just as Charles found that observation changes reality at the quantum level. You too possess this transformative power of awareness. When you step back and become the witness to your thoughts and emotions rather than being entangled within them, you initiate a profound shift in your reality. The universe responds not to what you think, but to your relationship with those thoughts. When you merge completely with a negative thought pattern, you become that pattern. But when you create space between yourself and your thoughts you activate your power as the observer. The consciousness behind all experience. This principle extends far beyond the laboratory. Your thoughts are energy and motion waves of possibility. Until observed by learning to watch them with detachment, you collapse these waves into the reality of your choosing. This is not mere theory. It is the practical application of both quantum mechanics and timeless spiritual wisdom. Beatrix discovered this truth during her darkest hour. Consumed by anxiety and fear, she had always been at the mercy of her emotional storms. Then she learned the art of witnessing. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," she learned to observe there is anxiety present. This subtle shift created a space between her true self and the temporary weather of her emotional state. In that space, she found freedom. As she mastered this practice of detached observation, her reality began to transform. The emotions that once overwhelmed her became passing clouds in the vast sky of her awareness. She discovered that she was not her thoughts, not her emotions, but the eternal witness to all these temporary phenomena. To access this power of the observer, practice this ancient technique. When a negative thought or emotion arises, don't fight it or try to change it. Instead, step back into the position of the witness. Notice the thought or feeling as if watching it on a screen. Say to yourself, "I observe this thought rather than this is my thought." Feel the space between your awareness and the thought itself. Rest in that space. Notice how the thought begins to lose its grip when you're no longer identified with it. This is the power of detached observation, the same power that changes reality at the quantum level, now working through your consciousness to transform your life. Chapter 7. The secret force that pulls reality to you. In the bustling marketplace of the city, Arthur stood behind his counter watching potential customers pass by. For years, he had mastered every sales technique, memorized countless scripts, and perfected his pitch, yet success remained elusive. Each day became an exhausting performance, trying to convince people to buy, until one remarkable morning, when everything changed. You see, Arthur had fallen ill that day. Too weak to maintain his usual enthusiastic approach, he simply stood quietly, offering genuine smiles to those who caught his eye. To his astonishment, more people stopped at his stand than ever before. Without the pressure of his sales tactics, customers felt drawn to his authentic presence. They lingered longer, asked questions, and purchased more than when he had tried to sell. This principle governs all aspects of life. The law of reverse effort reveals that the more you chase, the more life resists. When you release the need to make things happen, you align with the natural flow of universal energy. This is not passive resignation, but active, allowing a state of receptive awareness that magnetizes your desires to you. Think of water. When you grasp at it, it slips through your fingers. When you open your palm, it pools naturally. This same principle applies to success, abundance, and relationships. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your state of being. Dorothy understood this truth only after years of searching for love. She had attended every social gathering, joined countless dating services, and crafted the perfect profile, yet genuine connection eluded her. It wasn't until she stopped searching, truly stopped, that everything shifted. During a quiet afternoon, when she had finally made peace with being alone, she met someone who would change her life. Without the energy of seeking, she had become findable. Now, it is time for you to experience this truth directly. For the next 7 days, practice the art of non-pursuit. Choose one area of your life where you've been pushing hard for results. It might be in your career, relationships, or personal goals. Instead of trying to make things happen, shift into a state of allowing. Begin each morning by acknowledging your desires, then consciously releasing the need to chase them throughout the day. When you notice yourself forcing or pursuing, gently return to a state of receptive awareness. Notice how different this feels from your usual approach. Pay attention to what happens when you stop trying to make things happen and instead allow them to unfold naturally. Remember, this is not about giving up on your desires. It is about aligning with the natural law that governs all achievement, just as Arthur discovered in his sales and Dorothy and her relationships. The moment you cease pursuing is often the moment your desires begin pursuing you. Chapter 8. The paradox of wanting nothing, yet receiving everything. In the quiet halls of a prestigious university, Herbert clutched his research papers with trembling hands. For 15 years, he had pursued academic recognition, publishing paper after paper, desperately seeking acknowledgement from his peers. Each morning, he would wake with a gnawing emptiness, checking citation indexes and refreshing his email, hopping for invitations to speak at conferences. You have known this feeling, the constant craving that consumes your thoughts, leaving you unable to appreciate the present moment. Like Herbert, you may have discovered that desire itself becomes a prison, its walls built from endless wanting. The ancient masters spoke of this truth. Attachment is the root of suffering, yet they did not mean you should abandon your dreams. Rather, they taught that true manifestation occurs. Space between wanting and releasing. When Herbert finally understood this wisdom, everything changed. One evening, after another rejection letter, he placed all his papers in a drawer and walked away. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to simply exist without the burden of proving his worth. He began teaching his students not for recognition, but for the pure joy of sharing knowledge. Within months, something extraordinary occurred. His previous work began receiving attention. Colleagues sought his insights. Speaking invitations arrived unsolicited. The very recognition he had craved now flowed effortlessly, not because he had changed his actions, but because he had transformed his energy. This principle operates through a subtle mechanism of consciousness. When you crave something intensely, you broadcast a frequency of lack to the universe. This frequency repels the very things you desire. But when you release the craving, while maintaining clear intention, you enter a state of magnetic allowing to shift from craving to receiving. Practice this ancient ritual of release. Each evening, sit in silence and bring to mind your deepest desires. Feel them fully. Allow yourself to experience the wanting. Then imagine gathering all these desires into a glowing sphere of light in your heart. Watch as this sphere grows brighter with each breath. Now visualize opening your heart and releasing this sphere into the universe, trusting that what is meant for you will return in perfect timing. As you practice this release, notice how your relationship with desire transforms. Like Herbert, you may find that the very things you once chased begin chasing you instead. This is not coincidence, but the natural operation of universal law. When you release the grip of craving, you create space for receiving. Chapter 9. Effort is the barrier. In the quiet dawn, before a championship match, Joseph stood trembling on the field. For years he had pushed himself beyond limits, training until exhaustion, analyzing every movement, yet despite his relentless effort, victory remained elusive. His muscles were tight with anxiety, his mind clouded with doubt. You too may recognize this pattern, the belief that success demands constant striving. Yet within the ancient scrolls lies a different truth. Mastery emerges not from force, but from surrender to the natural flow of life. When Joseph finally understood this wisdom, his performance transformed. Instead of forcing each motion, he allowed his body's innate intelligence to guide him rather than overthinking each move. He trusted the wisdom accumulated through years of practice. In this state of allowing, his movements became fluid, effortless, precise. The universe operates through this paradox. The more you surrender to its flow, the more powerfully it moves through you. Like water finding its natural course, success flows most freely when you cease resisting it. This truth echoes through every spiritual tradition. The Ta Ching speaks of Wei Wo Wei doing. By not doing, the Bhagavad Gita teaches karma yoga, action without attachment to results. Even modern sports psychology confirms that peak performance occurs in states of relaxed awareness, not forced effort. Joseph discovered that victory came not from trying harder, but from trying less. By releasing the need to control every aspect of his performance, he accessed a deeper intelligence, one that knew exactly how to move, when to strike, where to position himself. To access this state of effortless mastery, practice this flow state meditation. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe naturally, allowing each breath to flow without effort. Notice how your body breathes itself, no forcing needed. Extend this awareness of effortlessness to your whole being. Feel the subtle energy flowing through you, requiring no effort on your part. Simply observe this flow for several minutes, letting go of any urge to control or direct it. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness of effortless being into your activities. This practice reveals the truth: you are not the doer, but the vessel through which universal intelligence flows. When you align with this flow, everything becomes effortless, not because you have stopped acting, but because you have stopped interfering. Like water finding its natural course down a mountainside, or a leaf carried gracefully by the wind, you become one with the divine current of life. Your actions arise spontaneously from a deeper wisdom, guided by the same intelligence that orchestrates the dance of planets and the blooming of flowers. In this state of surrender, you discover the true power comes not from forcing your will upon world, but from allowing yourself to be moved by the infinite wisdom that exists within and around you. Chapter 10. The first step to freedom. In the shadow of a great mountain, a merchant named Ling carried the weight of his entire fortune, gold, jewels, and precious silks, across a narrow bridge. The wooden planks creaked beneath his feet as a fierce wind howled through the canyon below. With each step, his grip tightened on his treasures, his knuckles white with fear of losing everything you likely young may clutch tightly. What you value most, yet in this moment, you stand at the threshold of a powerful truth, one that has transformed lives throughout the ages. As Ling inched forward, the wind grew stronger, his possessions now a burden made each step treacherous. Then came the teaching that would change his life forever. A wise woman appeared at the other end of the bridge, and spoke, "Only by opening your hands can you save yourself." In that moment, Ling faced the ultimate choice: hold on and risk everything, or surrender and discover power. When he finally released his grip, allowing his treasures to scatter to the wind, something miraculous occurred. His body lightened, his movement became sure, and he crossed safely to the other side. There, to his amazement, he found all his possessions had been carried by the wind to safety, arranged perfectly on the other shore. This ancient wisdom reveals the paradox of true power. Surrender is not defeat. It is the gateway to mastery. When you release your desperate grip on outcomes, you align with the infinite intelligence of the universe. This force, far greater than individual, can orchestrate possibilities beyond your imagination. The universe operates through trust, not control. Like water flowing around obstacles, it finds perfect pathways when unobstructed by fear. Your role is not to force, but to allow; not to direct, but to align. A wandering monk named Kai discovered this truth when he found himself lost in a vast desert. For days, he fought against the harsh environment, desperately trying to find his way. Only when he surrendered to the desert's guidance did he notice the subtle signs: the direction of the wind, the patterns of the stars, the movement of small creatures, leading him to an oasis. Now embrace this radical surrender practice. Stand in an open space, with your arms raised, palms facing the sky. Close your eyes and imagine everything you've been struggling to control or achieve. Feel the weight of these desires, these fears, these attachments, then slowly begin to release them one by one into the infinite space above you. Let your hands gradually open, allowing each concern to float away like leaves on the wind. Feel the lightness that comes with each release. Stay in this pose of complete surrender until you experience a profound shift in your energy, from grasping to receiving, from forcing to allowing. This practice may stir fear. The ego resists surrender, but remember, true power awaits on the other side of letting go. Just as Ling discovered abundance through release, and Kai found direction through surrender, you too will discover that what you seek has been seeking you all along. Part 2, Mastering the Backwards Law, Using the Law to Unlock Unlimited Manifestation and Power. Chapter 11, Effortless Manifestation. In the quiet hours before dawn, Walter sat at his desk, surrounded by rejection letters. Each no felt like a physical weight, crushing his dreams beneath their collective burden. For 15 years, he had pursued publication with the desperate intensity of a man chasing a mirage. His novel, rewritten countless times to please imagined critics, had become a hollow shell of his original vision. You too may recognize this pattern, the exhausting pursuit of external validation that drains the very essence from your creations. Yet within this struggle lies a sacred truth, one that has guided masters throughout the ages. When Walter finally surrendered, something extraordinary occurred. He set aside his manuscript and began writing purely for the joy of it, penning stories that made his heart sing. No thoughts of publishers or critics clouded his mind. In this state of pure creation, his words flowed like a clear stream, untainted by doubt or desire. Within months, these writings, born of freedom rather than force, attracted a publisher who recognized their authentic power. This mirrors the universal principle of effortless creation. The ancient mystics understood that all manifestation begins in the unseen realm of energy. Modern quantum physics now confirms what sages have always known: observation shapes reality. When you create from a place of alignment rather than effort, you tap into the same force that brings flowers from seeds and stars from stardust. Lillian's journey reflects this wisdom. For years she crafted perfect resume and network, tirelessly chasing her dream position, yet success remained elusive until she made a radical shift. Instead of hunting for opportunities, she began living as though her ideal work was already present. She decorated her home office as she envisioned it, scheduled her days as she desired them to be, and carried herself with the confidence of someone already living her dream. Within weeks, an unexpected connection led to the exact position she had imagined. The manifestation surrender practice invites you to enter this state of aligned creation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your desired reality to arise naturally in your mind. Unlike traditional visualization, you're not trying to force or control the images. Instead, let them emerge, as if watching a movie unfold. Feel the natural pleasure of these visions without grasping at them. Notice how your body relaxes when you release the need to make anything happen. If thoughts of how When arise, simply observe them floating past, like clouds. Your role is not to direct the universe, but to align with its infinite creative power, just as Walter discovered his authentic voice through surrender, and Lillian manifested her dream through being rather than seeking. You too will find that creation flows naturally when you step out of its way. Chapter 12. Why faith trumps force. In the bustling marketplace of the city, Alfred gripped his briefcase like a shield, his knuckles white with determination. Each morning he armed himself with script, statistics, and strategies, weapons in his endless battle to close the S. Yet despite his relentless efforts, success remained as elusive as morning mist. Through your own struggles, you may recognize this familiar pattern of forcing your way forward, believing that sheer will can bend reality to your desires. But the universe holds a gentler truth. One afternoon, Alfred observed his competitor Thomas in a meeting where Alfred would have launched into carefully rehearsed presentation. Thomas simply listened, smiled, and spoke with quiet certainty. Deals seemed to materialize around him like flowers blooming in spring. His secret and unshakable knowing that each interaction would unfold perfectly. This mirrors an eternal truth. Belief shapes reality more powerfully than any action. Ancient texts speak of faith moving mountains, while modern neuroscience reveals how our beliefs literally reshape our neural pathways. When you truly believe in an outcome, your energy shifts from forcing to allowing, opening channels through which abundance naturally flows. Florence's healing journey illuminates this principle. After years of battling illness through endless treatments and desperate measures, she discovered a different path. Instead of fighting her body, she began to trust in its infinite wisdom. Each morning, she would rest her hands on her heart and feel the divine intelligence flowing through her cells. She stopped seeking cures and started believing in her body's natural ability to restore balance. Within months, her doctors watched in amazement as her condition reversed, not through struggle, but through surrender to her body's innate healing power. To activate this same power of faith within yourself, find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and bring to mind something you've been trying to force into existence. Feel the tension this struggle has created in your body. Now imagine releasing this effort completely, like setting down a heavy burden you've carried for too long. Let your breath deepen as you shift into a state of absolute trust. Feel the relief of knowing that what you seek is already making its way to you. There is nothing to prove, nothing to push, nothing to make happen. The universe's intelligence far exceeds your plans and strategies. Remain in this state of deep trust for several minutes, allowing any doubts or fears to float past like clouds. When thoughts of how or when arise, simply return to this feeling of complete faith. Practice this surrender daily and watch as life begins responding not to your efforts, but to your trust. Chapter 13. Trusting the universe. In a modest study lined with meticulously organized calendars and plans, Thomas spent his days attempting to orchestrate every moment of his future. His desk drawers overflowed with backup plans for backup plans, each scenario mapped out in exhaustive detail. Yet life seemed to take perverse pleasure in unraveling his carefully woven designs. You too may recognize this pattern within yourself. The endless calculations, the constant preparation for every possibility, the illusion that through perfect planning you can control the uncontrollable. But wisdom whispers in a different way. Through the ages, the greatest minds have understood that certainty dwells in the heart of uncertainty. Einstein spoke of the mystery that stands at the cradle of true science. The Buddha taught that peace comes not from securing the future, but from releasing our grip on what must. These weren't mere philosophical musings, but profound insights into the nature of reality itself. When Thomas finally exhausted himself with planning, something extraordinary happened in his surrender. He discovered a deeper current carrying him forward, one far more intelligent than his careful strategies. Life began flowing with an ease he had never known, bringing opportunities he could never have planned for. This mirrors the journey of Evelyn, who spent years crafting the perfect conditions for love she had. Lists of qualities her ideal partner must possess, carefully curated dating profiles, and structured approaches to every interaction. Yet true connection eluded her until the day she set aside her requirements and trusted in life's timing. One evening, after canceling yet another carefully planned date, Evelyn walked into a neighborhood cafe with no agenda there. In the simple act of being present, she met someone who defied all her carefully constructed criteria, yet opened her heart in ways her plans never could. Their connection flourished not because it fit a predetermined pattern, but because she allowed it to unfold naturally. To embrace this wisdom in your own life, set aside one full day for a practice in radical trust. Begin your morning by declaring it a planning-free day. Let go of your schedule's expectations and need for control. Move through each moment responding only to what is directly before you when the urge to plan or control arises, and it will simply observe it without acting. Upon it, feel the discomfort of not knowing and stay present with that sensation. Notice how life continues to flow even without your careful orchestration as you navigate this day of trust. Watch how solutions appear naturally, how connections form effortlessly, and how wisdom emerges from simply being present. This practice isn't about abandoning responsibility, it's about accessing a deeper intelligence that operates beyond your limited perspectives and plans. Chapter 14: The Stillness That Speaks. In bustling heart of the city, Benjamin sat surrounded by spreadsheets, market analyses, and business plans. His mind raced with endless calculations as he attempted to force clarity from chaos. Each decision felt like a mountain to climb, each choice a maze without exit. The more he analyzed, the more paralyzed he became. You may recognize this pattern in your own life, the endless mental churning, the belief that if you think hard enough, the right answer will emerge, yet the universe holds a different truth. With the depths of silence lies a wisdom that surpasses all intellectual effort. This knowing emerges not from the noise of thought, but from the quiet spaces between thoughts. The ancient Zen masters understood this when they spoke of mushan, the mind like still water that reflects reality perfectly. Modern neuroscience now confirms what these sages knew: when the brain enters states of deep quiet, solutions arise spontaneously from deeper levels of consciousness. Benjamin discovered this truth only after exhaustion forced him to stop one morning. Instead of diving into his usual analysis, he simply sat in silence. In that space of surrender, clarity emerged effortlessly, not as thoughts, but as a knowing that transcended thinking. This mirrors the journey of Marion, whose artistic inspiration had dried up beneath the weight of forced creativity. She spent countless hours staring at blank canvases, willing her masterpiece into existence, yet her greatest works emerged only when she released the need to create. One evening, after abandoning her usual routine of scheduled creativity, Marion simply sat with her materials without agenda. In that space of pure presence, images began flowing through her naturally, leading to a series of paintings that touched hearts in ways her calculated efforts never could. The practice, the stillness immersion. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 10 minutes, release all effort to figure things out. Let thoughts come and go without following them. Simply rest in the silence that exists beneath your thinking mind. Notice how answers often arise not from mental strain, but from this space of deep stillness, like a clear pond that reveals hidden treasures. Only when its waters are undisturbed, your mind opens to divine wisdom. In moments of pure quietude, trust that wisdom flows naturally when you step out of its way, just as a river finds its course without force or resistance. In this practice lies the key to accessing the infinite intelligence that already exists within you, an ancient knowing that has guided seekers throughout the ages. When you release the need to grasp at understanding, universal truth gently emerges from the depths of your being. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 15: The WOAY Principle. In the ancient halls of a temple, Edgar stood frozen, his muscles tense with effort. Years of training had brought him to this moment. Yet the more he tried to perfect his movements, the more rigid and ineffective they became. You see, like Edgar, you too may have fallen into the trap of believing that mastery requires force. The wisdom of Wu, action through non-action, reveals a paradox at the heart of achievement. When you release the grip of trying, your natural power emerges. This is not passivity, but rather a state of such perfect alignment that action flows through you rather than from you. The great masters of old understood that true power comes not from forcing the river's flow, but from becoming the river itself. In your daily life, notice how strange creates resistance. When you grasp too tightly at outcomes, your very tension blocks the natural flow of energy. Yet, when you release into the moment, allowing your actions to arise spontaneously, you tap into a deeper current of power. Consider Hattie, who spent years pushing her business forward through sheer force of will. Each day was a battle, each achievement won through exhausting effort, until one day she discovered the art of acting without acting. She began moving through her work with the same ease as breathing. No longer did she force meetings or chase clients. Instead, she allowed opportunities to unfold naturally, responding with graceful efficiency rather than stressed exertion. The results transformed her business not through added effort, but through its release. Clients were drawn to her natural confidence, deals flowed effortlessly, and success arrived without strain. The practice, effortless action. Choose 3 everyday activities, perhaps making tea, walking, or writing. As you perform each task, release all sense of trying or Let your movements arise naturally, as if they're happening on their own. Notice how your body knows exactly what to do when you step out of its way. Feel the difference between forced action and allowed action. When tension arises, simply observe it, and let it dissolve naturally like morning mist evaporating in the warm sunlight. Allow each movement to flow from a place of ease rather than effort, trusting in the inherent wisdom of your being. Notice how your actions become more graceful, more precise. When you release the grip of conscious control, this is the beginning of Wu, the art of effortless action that contains more power than any forced movement could achieve. Like water finding its path down a mountain, your actions become both gentle and unstoppable when you align with their natural flow. In this state of allowance, you accomplish more while doing less, accessing an ancient power that has guided masters throughout the ages. Chapter 16. The counterintuitive path to wealth and love. In the bustling heart of a city, Frank surrounded himself with wealth-building books, seminars, and strategies. His shelves groaned under the weight of financial wisdom, yet his bank account remained stubbornly empty. Each morning, he would study new techniques, desperately seeking the secret formula that would unlock abundance. But the universe held a different lesson in store. You see, the very act of pursuing wealth creates a subtle energy of lack. When you chase money, you broadcast to the universe that you don't have it, and the universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects that belief back to you. This is the hidden mechanism behind all attraction. Your state of being, not your actions, determines what flows into your life. Frank's transformation began the day he realized that all his seeking stemmed from a deep sense of unworthiness. In that moment of truth, he stopped running after wealth and instead chose to embody the energy of abundance. He began moving through life as though prosperity already filled every corner of his existence. His shoulders relaxed, his breath deepened, and a natural confidence emerged, not from having money, but from knowing his inherent worth. Within weeks, opportunities appeared effortlessly. Clients sought him out, investments aligned perfectly, and resources flowed naturally into his life. He had discovered what the ancient mystics knew: abundance is not something you chase, but something you become. Rose's story mirrors this truth in matters of the heart. After years of searching for love, she discovered that her constant seeking pushed potential partners away. The moment she began radiating self-worth, treating herself with the love she sought from others, everything changed. She stopped attending dating events or scanning rooms for potential matches. Instead, she lived fully in her own joy, and love found her naturally drawn to the light of her self-contained wholeness. The practice embodying your desires. For the next 7 days, you will practice being rather than seeking. Choose one area of life where you've been chasing results, whether wealth, love, or success. Each morning, take 3 deep breaths and allow yourself to shift into the energy of already having what you desire. Move through your day as though abundance already fills your life. Walk as though success already embraces you. Speak as though love already surrounds you. Notice how this shift in your energy affects the way others respond to you, how opportunities appear, and how your reality begins to align with your new way of being. This is not pretending or forcing, it is allowing yourself to resonate with the frequency of what you desire. Like a tuning fork vibrating at the perfect pitch, you will naturally draw to you that which matches your inner state. Chapter 17. The art of doing less and achieving more. In the gleaming towers of a corporate empire, Oscar drove himself relentlessly toward exhaustion. His calendar overflowed with meetings, his inbox burst with endless tasks, and his mind raced with countless strategies. Yet despite his ceaseless activity, true achievement remained elusive. You have been taught that success requires maximum effort, that more action equals great results. This illusion has kept you trapped in a cycle of endless doing, while the universe's natural flow of abundance passes you by. Truth lies in an ancient principle, now confirmed by modern analysis. The vital few actions yield the majority of results. In every area of life, you will discover that 20% of your efforts create 80% of your outcomes. This is not merely a mathematical observation, but a spiritual law that points toward the natural way of the universe. When you align with this principle, you step into harmony with the cosmic flow of least resistance. Oscar's transformation began when he released the burden of unnecessary action. He eliminated the countless tasks that drained his energy yet contributed little in their place. He discovered the power of inspired action, those rare moments when the universe guides you toward effortless achievement. Beulah's journey reflects this wisdom. In her pursuit of healing for years, she followed complex protocols, strict regimens, and elaborate treatments. Yet her breakthrough came when she simplified everything, focusing only on what truly resonated with her inner wisdom. By releasing the strain of overcomplicated strategies, she allowed her body's natural healing intelligence To emerge practice the effort detox. For the next 3 days you will practice the art of eliminating unnecessary effort. Begin by listing all your current activities and obligations. Then in a state of quiet reflection ask yourself, which of these actions truly matter, which arises from genuine inspiration rather than obligation. Eliminate or delegate anything that doesn't align with your natural flow. When faced with tasks, pause and ask, is this essential? Is this the simplest way? Let go of the compulsion to fill every moment with activity. Watch as your energy naturally flows toward what matters most. Notice how removing excess effort creates space for inspiration to guide you. This is not lazy, it is aligning with the universe's natural efficiency, where less action produces greater results. As you embrace this practice of effortless action, you'll discover a profound truth: the universe operates through elegant simplicity, not forced complexity. When you release the need to control every outcome through sheer will, you open yourself to the divine intelligence that orchestrates. Alive Chapter 18. The beauty of uncertainty. In a small town lived Harold, a man who planned his life down to the minute. Each morning he would check the weather 3 times before choosing his outfit. He maintained spreadsheets for every decision, analyzing all possible outcomes. His need for certainty had created a prison of predictability, until the day his company announced unexpected layoffs. You have been taught that knowledge equals power, that certainty provides safety. Yet this ancient wisdom reveals a paradox. True power lies in embracing the unknown. When you release the illusion of control, infinite possibilities emerge from the void. The universe operates through uncertainty. This is not merely philosophical speculation, but a fundamental truth revealed by quantum physics. At the smallest level of reality, certainty dissolves into probability waves of infinite potential. Your desire for absolute certainty creates resistance to life's natural flow, blocking the very opportunities that await in the mystery. Harold's transformation began when circumstances forced him to step into the unknown. Without his familiar routine and planned future, he discovered something remarkable. Creativity flourished in uncertainty. New opportunities appeared precisely because he could no longer predict his path. In the markets of Damascus lived Mabel, a merchant who had inherited her family's trading business for years. She followed the same routes, dealt with the same suppliers, sold the same wares. But when a storm destroyed her usual trade route, she was forced to explore unknown territories. In embracing uncertainty, she discovered exotic goods and wealthy new customers that transformed her business beyond imagination. The practice embracing uncertainty. Challenge. Tomorrow, you will intentionally step into the unknown. Begin your day without plans or expectations. Let go of your usual routines and predetermined outcomes. When the mind seeks certainty, gently remind yourself, I choose to remain open to infinite possibilities. Throughout the day, make choices that take you off your familiar path. Take a different route to work, speak to someone new, try something you've never done before. When anxiety about the unknown arises, breathe into it rather than resist it. Notice how uncertainty opens doors that your certainty keeps closed. Feel how releasing to know everything creates space for unexpected gifts to enter your life. This is not recklessness, it is aligning with the universe's natural state of infinite potential. As you surrender your grip on fixed outcomes, watch how the universe responds with synchronicities and opportunities you could never have planned. Each moment of embracing the unknown strengthens your trust in the greater wisdom that orchestrates all things. You are learning to dance with uncertainty, allowing it to guide you toward experiences far richer than your limited mind could have imagined. Chapter 19. The power of non-resistance. In the highlands of ancient Scotland, Leonard stood at the edge of a rushing river, his muscles tense. With familiar resistance for years, he had fought against every current life had sent his way: business setbacks, relationship challenges, health issues. Each obstacle became a battle, leaving him exhausted and depleted. You too have been taught to fight, to push, to resist what life brings your way, yet within the depths of timeless wisdom lies a truth that transforms struggle into ease. The path of non-resistance holds more power than all your fighting ever could. When you resist life's flow, you create turbulence that drains your energy and blocks your natural path. Like a river meeting a boulder, your resistance creates chaos where there could be smooth passage. The universe moves with perfect precision. Your resistance only disrupts its natural intelligence. Leonard's transformation began the day he watched how the river's water effortlessly curved around rocks, never fighting, yet always reaching its destination. In that moment, he understood the water's power came not from forcing its way, but from yielding to what was in the bustling streets of Venice. Agnes ran a small inn, constantly resisting the seasonal changes in tourism. She fought against winter's quiet months, exhausting herself trying to maintain summer's prosperity year-round. But when she finally surrendered to the natural rhythm of seasons, something extraordinary happened. Quiet months became times of renewal and creativity, leading to innovations that made her more prosperous than ever before. The practice releasing resistance for the next 3 days. Observe where you resist life's natural flow. Notice the tension in your body, the tightness in your thoughts. When things don't go as planned, instead of fighting against what is, practice saying yes to each moment. Begin each morning by setting this intention: today I flow with life, rather than against it. When challenges arise, soften your resistance. Feel how your body relaxes when you stop fighting. Notice how solutions appear more easily when you're not blocking them with resistance. This ancient practice doesn't mean becoming passive. It means aligning with the universe's intelligence, rather than opposing it. Like water finding its path, you'll discover that acceptance holds more power than resistance ever could. When you release the need to control life's direction, you tap into a flow that carries you toward your highest good. Let each breath become a reminder to soften, to yield, to trust. Feel how your energy expands when you stop resisting what is. This is the wisdom that sages have taught through ages. True power lies not in fighting against life, but in flowing with it. Chapter 20. The final key. In the heart of a bustling city, Clarence sat in his office, surrounded by charts and plans, instruments of control he had relied upon his entire life. Each morning, he would meticulously plot his path to success, forcing his way through obstacles with sheer determination. Yet success remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like water. You have been taught that control brings results, that planning ensures victory. But there exists a deeper truth, one that transforms the very foundation of manifestation. When you release all control, the infinite current of life carries you freely, or you need to be. The universe operates through you, not by you. Every attempt to force your will against its flow creates resistance that blocks your natural path. Abundance. When Clarence finally abandoned his charts and plans, surrendering completely to life's flow, everything changed. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, connections formed naturally, and success flowed to him without struggle. This truth echoes through the ages. The current of life knows the perfect path. Like a leaf carried by a stream, you reach your destination not through effort, but through complete surrender to the flow. In a small coastal town, Ma spent decades believing she was the architect of her destiny. She controlled every detail, forced every outcome, until exhaustion left her empty. Then one morning, watching waves shape the shoreline, she understood the ocean didn't fight to create its perfect patterns, it simply flowed. And in that flow, all was accomplished. The moment Ma released her grip on life, she discovered she had never been in control. The current had always known where to take her. Her resistance had only delayed her journey. Now, carried by life's flow, she found herself achieving everything she had once struggled to grasp. The practice full surrender ritual. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where the whispers of the world cannot reach you. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as water, perfectly fluid, offering no resistance to the currents that guide you. Feel yourself becoming as supple as a stream, as yielding as the morning mist. For the next days, start each morning by consciously releasing every forced effort, every rigid thought, every tense muscle that speaks of control. Say silently, letting the words ripple through your being: I surrender completely to life's perfect flow. I release all need to control, force, or direct my path. I allow the infinite current to carry me. Let these ancient words of wisdom dissolve the barriers you've built against life's natural rhythm. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself striving or forcing in meetings, conversations, decisions, or actions, return to this state of absolute surrender. Remember that the universe's wisdom flows through you when you see. Resist it like water finding its way through the earth. Trust that your path will reveal itself in divine timing. In your surrender lies your greatest power. Watch for the subtle signs of resistance within yourself: a tightened jaw, a clenched fist, a racing mind trying to control outcomes. In these moments, breathe deeply and recall the wisdom of the ages, that all of nature's greatest works come from allowing rather than forcing. The mighty river does not fight its banks, but flows within them, creating beauty through acceptance. Your surrender is not weakness, but rather the highest form of strength, for in releasing your grip on life's wheel, you allow the infinite intelligence of the universe to guide your course with perfect wisdom. Part 3. Becoming unstoppable, living as a master of reality and transcending struggle forever. Chapter 21. The mindset of the effortless manifester. In the depths of winter, Howard stood before his vision board, scrutinizing every detail, questioning whether his manifestations were working. His mind raced with endless analysis. Was he doing it right? Had he visualized long enough? Should he try a different technique? This perpetual doubt created a maze of uncertainty, trapping him in cycles of overthinking. You see, the universe responds not to effort, but to certainty. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up each day to check its progress. You trust in the unseen forces of nature, knowing the seed will grow. This is the hidden truth that transforms mere wishing into powerful manifestation. The subconscious mind, that ancient gateway to universal power, recognizes only absolute conviction. It does not respond to hope or wishes, but to unwavering knowing. When Howard finally ceased his constant questioning and settled into pure certainty, his reality shifted instantly. Jobs appeared, relationships blossomed, and opportunities emerged, not because he had perfected his technique, but because he had embraced absolute knowing. In the quiet hills of a distant valley lived Ethel, who spent years searching for signs from the universe. She analyzed cloud patterns, interpreted numbers, and sought meaning in every coincidence, yet true manifestation remained beyond her reach, until she understood those who trust need no signs. The moment she released her need for confirmation, embracing instead the quiet certainty of knowing, her desires manifested with supernatural speed. Your power lies not in perfecting methods or decoding signs, but in absolute inner conviction. When you truly know that your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen realm, the visible world must reshape itself to match your certainty. The practice certainty activation. Sit in perfect stillness and recall a time when you knew something without doubt. Perhaps that the sun would rise or that water would quench your thirst. Feel that unwavering certainty in your body. Now choose one desire and allow that same certainty to infuse it completely. Don't wish, hope, or wonder. Know that your entire being resonate with the knowing that what you desire is already yours in the unseen realm. Throughout your day, whenever doubt arises, return to this state of absolute knowing. Feel the difference between hopping and knowing, between wishing and being certain. Release all need for signs or proof. Trust that what is yours in consciousness must manifest in form. This is the ancient art of certainty, the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. Chapter 22. Becoming a magnetic force. In the bustling streets of a city, Stanley moved through life with an air of desperation. Each interaction became a plea for approval, each relationship an attempt to fill an inner void. He attended every social gathering, joined countless dating apps, and followed every piece of advice on attraction. Yet the more he reached out, the more others pulled away. You may recognize this pattern in your own life. The universal law remains constant. What you chase eludes you, or what you embody attracts naturally. This truth echoes through the ages, whispered by mystics, and now confirmed by modern understanding of energy and vibration. When Stanley finally ceased his endless pursuit of validation, something remarkable occurred. His energy shifted from needing to being, from seeking to attracting. Without changing his external appearance or circumstances, he became magnetic. Others now sought his presence, drawn by an inexplicable force that emanated from his self-containment. The power of attraction lies not in what you do, but in who you are being. Your energy precedes you into every room, speaks before your words, and creates your reality before any action takes place. When you shift from seeking to embodying, the universe responds not to your efforts, but to your essence. In a quiet mountain town, Mavis dreamed of expanding her small business. She exhausted herself attending networking events, sending countless emails, and pushing her way toward opportunities, yet success remained distant, until she understood the law of energetic alignment. Instead of chasing connections, she began radiating the energy of someone already successful. Without effort, the right people and opportunities found their way to her, drawn by her authentic power. Your practice now calls for a profound shift in your energetic signature. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Feel the energy of neediness, of seeking, of trying to attract. Notice how this energy feels: contracted, heavy, desperate. Now shift your awareness to the energy of already having what you desire. Feel how this energy expands, lightens, radiates. This is your natural state of attraction. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself slipping into seeking energy, pause, take a breath, and realign with the energy of being rather than needing. Let your presence become a magnet, drawing to you all that resonates with your authentic power. This is not a technique to master, but a truth to embody. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. Chapter 23. The balance of surrender and inspired action. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, Milton sat frozen in his apartment, surrounded by vision boards and manifestation journals. Each morning, he would meticulously visualize his goals, yet fear kept him from taking a single step toward them. If I move, he would whisper to himself, I might disrupt the universe's plan. You see, Milton had fallen into the trap that catches many who discover the power of manifestation, the belief that action somehow contradicts surrender. Yet nature itself reveals a different truth. The seed does not simply visualize its transformation into a mighty oak. It also breaks through its shell, extends its roots, and reaches toward the sun. The universe speaks. Through paradox, true surrender is not inaction, but action without attachment. It is the dance of the leaves in the wind, moving yet completely at peace with where they land. It is the river that flows with purpose, yet does not resist when rocks alter its course. Milton's breakthrough came when he witnessed a master potter at work. The artist's hands moved with decisive purpose, yet maintained a gentle touch that allowed the clay to find its natural form. In that moment, Milton understood manifestation requires both the potter's intention and the clay's surrender. The core teachings reveal that action and surrender are not opposites, but partners in the dance of creation. The ancient TSDS spoke of WOAY action. Without forcing, the martial artists demonstrate power through relaxed movement. Even quantum physics shows us that particles exist in both states of movement and potential. Until observed in a small coastal town, Sylvia dreamed of opening a seaside cafe. For years, she waited for the perfect sign from the universe, believing that any action on her part would interfere with divine timing. Then one morning, while walking on the beach, she saw a child building a sand castle. The child worked with complete focus, yet remained unattached, as waves periodically smoothed her creation. Inspired, Sylvia began taking small steps toward her dream, making calls, viewing locations, drafting plans, all while maintaining the child's spirit of joyful detachment. Within months, Sylvia's cafe opened its doors, not in the location she had originally envisioned, not in the way she had planned, but in a form that exceeded her expectations. She had discovered the sacred balance moving forward, while remaining open to the universe's adjustments. Your practice now calls for this same divine partnership. Choose one small action that moves you toward your desire. Perhaps it's making a phone call you've been avoiding, writing the first page of your book, or having conversation you've been postponing. Before taking this action, breathe deeply and feel yourself letting go of all expectations about the outcome. Move forward with the lightness of a leaf in the wind, the fluidity of water finding its path. Let your action be an offering to the universe, free from the weight of needing specific results. This is the way of aligned action, purposeful, yet peaceful, intentional, yet surrendered. Chapter 24. The subtle art of allowing. In the quiet suburbs of a timeless town, Clyde sat before his manifestation journal, crossing out another failed attempt each morning. He would set his intentions, only to spend the rest of the day checking for signs, questioning his technique, and wondering if he was doing it right. The universe's response seemed to grow dimmer with each anxious inquiry. You have been taught that manifestation requires constant attention, like watching a pot of water boil. Yet this very attention creates resistance, blocking the natural flow of universal energy. When you do you dig it up each day to check its progress? Nature knows the perfect timing, the perfect sequence, the perfect unfolding. The law of allowing operates through trust, not interference. Every time you question whether your manifestation is working, you create a ripple of doubt that disturbs the very process you wish to nurture. The universe responds not to your words or actions, but to your energy of trust, or lack thereof. In the gentle cycles of nature you find the truth of non-interference. The moon does not force the tides, it simply maintains its presence, and the waters respond. The sun does not demand the flower to bloom, it simply shines, and the petals open in their own time. Gertrude, a talented artist, spent years trying to control every aspect of her career. She would send countless emails, make repeated follow-ups, and obsess over each potential opportunity. Her energy of desperation created a wall between her and success. Then during a winter morning, she watched a chrysalis on her garden fence. For weeks she observed without touching, without interfering. When the butterfly emerged, she understood transformation requires space. From that day forward, Gertrude shifted her approach. She continued creating her art, but released the need to control its reception. She stopped checking her email compulsively, ceased forcing connections, and allowed her work to speak for itself. Within months, galleries began reaching out to her. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, better than any she had tried to force into existence. Your practice this week invites you into this same sacred space of allowing. Choose one area of your life where you typically exert control, perhaps your career, relationships, or a specific goal. For the next days, consciously withdraw your interference. Continue your normal activities, but release the need to check, verify, or force outcomes. When you feel the urge to interfere, simply observe this impulse. Without acting on it, let the universe work on your behalf, trusting that what is meant for you cannot miss you. This exercise may feel uncomfortable at first. The ego resists surrender, but in this comfort lies your transformation. Like Gertrude with her butterfly, You are learning to trust the natural unfolding of your desires. The universe has been waiting for you to step back to allow its infinite wisdom to work through you rather than against your resistance. Chapter 25. Why happiness finds you when you stop searching in a bustling city filled with endless pursuits. Wilbur rushed from one to the next, convinced that happiness awaited at the finish line. Each accomplishment brought only fleeting satisfaction. Before he set his sights on the next goal, his shelves filled with trophies, his walls with certificates. Yet the joy he sought remained elusive. You have been conditioned to believe that happiness lies somewhere in the future, after the promotion, after the relationship, after the perfect body. This eternal chase creates a void that can never be filled, for happiness is not a destination. Way of being. The ancient masters understood that joy exists only in the present moment. When you project happiness into the future, you deny its existence. Now this denial becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating a perpetual cycle of seeking that blinds you to the abundance already surrounding you. The universe operates through paradise. What you chase runs away, what you embrace flows toward you. Happiness is not found through acquisition or achievement, but through recognition of what already is. It emerges not from adding to your life, but from awakening to its inherent fullness. Blanche lived in a modest cottage at the edge of town for years. She believed happiness would arrive once she secured a larger home, a better position, a different life. One morning, as sunlight streamed through her window, she noticed how it transformed her simple kitchen into a cathedral of light. At that moment, she realized she had been searching for what was already present. From that day forward, Blanche stopped postponing her joy. She discovered wonder in ordinary moments. The morning tea, the song of birds at dawn, the smile of a strange danger. Her life hadn't changed, but her perception had transformed completely. By ceasing to chase happiness, she became happiness itself. The practice for the next 7 days. Pause 3 times each day. Once as dawn breaks, once when the sun reaches its peak, and once as twilight approaches. Look around your immediate environment and find 5 sources of joy: the play of light on a wall, the texture of fabric beneath your fingers, the rhythm of your breath, the gentle sway of curtains in the breeze, the distant song of life beyond your window. Let these simple pleasures fill you completely, without seeking anything more. Resist the temptation to chase after greater experiences or to dismiss these moments as insignificant. In this practice of presence, you will discover that happiness was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to notice its eternal presence. As you cultivate this awareness, you begin to understand that the universe has been offering you countless gifts in every moment, patiently waiting for you to unwrap them with your conscious attention. Chapter 26. Living as if you already have it. In a small apartment overlooking the city, Norman stood before his mirror each morning, reciting affirmations and setting goals, yet feeling perpetually inadequate despite his achievements, promotions, and accolades. An inner voice constantly whispered, "You're not enough." This voice drove him to endless self-improvement, yet the feeling of lack persisted. You have been taught that becoming is the path to having, yet this very belief keeps you trapped in a cycle of eternal seeking. The truth lies in a principle so simple that most overlook it. Your subconscious mind responds not to what is but to what you believe is. When you embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire, you activate forces beyond conscious understanding. This is not pretense or fantasy. It is aligning with a reality that already exists in potential form. The ancient mystics understood this power, speaking of it in whispers, passing it down through generations. As within, so without. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. This is why Olympic athletes improve performance through visualization alone. When you step into the energy of your desired reality, you transmit a frequency that the universe must match. Norman's transformation began the day he stopped trying to become and simply began being, instead of rehearsing what he would do. When success arrived, he started moving through his day as if it already had. He dressed differently, spoke differently, made decisions from this new perspective. Within weeks, opportunities aligned with this embodied energy, as if reality itself was reshaping to match his inner state. Edith worked in a small bookstore, dreaming of becoming a published author. For years, she focused on the gap between where she was and where she wanted to be. Then, she learned the art of embodiment. She began arranging her desk. You were already a successful writer. She scheduled her day as if writing was her primary profession. She answered questions as if her books were already touching lives. One morning, while writing in a cafe, a literary agent overheard her speaking about her work with such natural confidence that he requested to see her manuscript. The book deal that followed seemed miraculous to others, but Edith understood. She had simply stepped into a reality that was waiting for her recognition. The practice. Tomorrow you will live as if your desire has already manifested. Choose clothing that your future self would move with the confidence of one who has already achieved make decisions from this elevated perspective. When speaking with others, allow your words to flow from this embodied state. This is not about pretending, it is about recognizing a truth that already exists in potential form. As you move through your day, notice how reality begins to align with this new frequency you are emanating. Chapter 27, The Unshakable Confidence of the Master Manifester. In a dimly lit study, Eugene sat surrounded by vision boards and manifestation journals, his hands trembling as he wrote his millionth affirmation. Despite years of spiritual practice, doubt lingered like a shadow whispering that perhaps he wasn't doing enough, wasn't worthy enough, wasn't ready enough. You have been taught that confidence follows achievement, that certainty comes after proof. This is the great illusion that keeps you bound in limitation. The universe responds not to what you do, but to what you are certain of in your deepest being. When you examine the lives of history's greatest achievers, from inventors to artists to leaders, you find one common thread: they held unshakable certainty before external reality aligned. They did not wait for proof to believe, their belief created the proof. This power of absolute certainty lies dormant within you. It is not something to be gained, but remembered. Every child knows this truth until the world teaches them to doubt you. Once knew that anything was possible, this knowing still lives within you, waiting to be awakened. Eugene's transformation began when he understood that his doubt was not protecting him. It was creating the very limitations he feared. The moment he chose absolute certainty, regardless of external evidence, the universe began rearranging itself to match his inner knowing. Myrtle had spent decades doubting her artistic abilities, creating in secret, hiding her work from the world. Then she discovered the power. Unwavering certainty. Instead of seeking validation, she began creating from a place of absolute knowing. She painted as if each stroke was guided by divine inspiration. She shared her work with the confidence of a master. The art world didn't just notice, it responded, as if it had been waiting for her all along. Galleries that had once ignored her now competed for her work. Critics who had never heard her name now praised her genius. The universe had simply aligned with her inner certainty. The practice for the next 7 days: choose one desire and embody absolute certainty about its manifestation. Remove all traces of doubt from your thoughts, words, and actions. When doubts arise, do not fight them, simply observe them passing like clouds, while you remain rooted in knowing. Speak of your desire as if it is already accomplished. Move through your day with the quiet confidence of one who knows their power. This is not about convincing yourself. It is about remembering what you have always known, that certainty shapes reality, not the other way around. Chapter 28, The Path of Least Resistance. In the heart of a dense forest, Archibald spent countless hours forcing his business plans into existence. Each day brought new strategies, more aggressive marketing campaigns, and increasingly complex systems. Yet success remained elusive. His struggle mirrored the futile effort of pushing against a mighty river. You have been taught that achievement requires force, that success demands struggle. Yet observe how nature accomplishes its greatest feats. Water shapes mountains not through force, but by following the path of least resistance. Lightning strikes through the easiest route. Even light travels the most efficient path through space. The universe operates through elegance, not effort. When you align with this truth, you tap into a power far greater than mere force. Your role is not to make things happen, but to allow them to unfold with natural grace. The principle of least resistance reveals it itself in every success story. Though few recognize its presence, those who seem to achieve overnight success have simply learned to flow with life's currents rather than against them. Velma discovered this truth in her own journey as a restaurant owner. She exhausted herself trying to compete with larger establishments, implementing elaborate marketing schemes, and working 16-hour days. Success remained distant until the day she surrendered to simplicity. Instead of fighting market trends, she allowed her business to evolve naturally. She listened to her customers' subtle cues. Rather than imposing her vision, she followed the easy paths that presented themselves, rather than forcing predetermined routes. Within months, her restaurant transformed. It became known not for its elaborate offerings, but for its authentic atmosphere and natural charm. Customers were drawn to the effortless grace that now permeated every aspect of her business. Success flowed not from struggle, but from alignment with nature's way. The ancient practice of least resistance: choose one significant decision you face, rather than analyzing every possibility or forcing a predetermined outcome. Spend time in quiet observation. Notice which path feels effortless, which direction offers the least resistance. For one full day, make your choice based solely on ease and flow, setting aside the conditioning that equates struggle with value. Document How this decision unfolds, paying particular attention to the subtle ways the universe supports choices aligned with natural law. Remember, nature never strains, never forces, never struggles, yet mountains move, rivers carve canyons, and stars illuminate the cosmos. Your power lies not in pushing against life's current, but in flowing with its infinite wisdom. Chapter 29, the final step. In the heart of a bustling city, Raymond clutched his plans and schedules like shields against life's uncertainties. Each morning, he awoke gripped by endless worries about his future, his security, his choices. His days were spent constructing elaborate defenses against what might go wrong, yet these very defenses became the walls of his prison. You have been taught that control brings safety, that preparation prevents pain, yet this is the greatest illusion, for, in your desperate attempt to avoid what you fear, you create the very resistance that manifests your deepest anxieties. When you surrender completely to all possibilities, something extraordinary happens. Fear loses its grip. This is not mere positive thinking, it is a fundamental law of existence. The universe responds not to your defenses, but to your openness. In complete surrender lies complete power. Consider how water remains invincible not through resistance, but through absolute adaptability. It cannot be destroyed, because it accepts every form. This is your natural state. Fluid, fearless, free. Doris discovered this truth during a period of profound uncertainty. After losing her job, home, and relationship in quick succession, she stood at the edge of her greatest fear, complete loss of control. In that moment of apparent devastation, she made a choice that would transform her life. Instead of fighting against her circumstances, she surrendered to them completely. She stopped trying to predict outcomes. She released her grip on how things should be. Most importantly, she surrendered her need to know what would happen next. In doing so, she discovered what mystics have known for millennia, that surrender is not weakness, but the ultimate strength within. Months, opportunities beyond her imagination began flowing into her life. A chance encounter led to her dream career. An unexpected introduction brought deep love. She found herself living in a home more beautiful than any she had lost. But the real miracle was not in these external changes. It was in the unshakable peace she had found through complete surrender. The ancient practice of fearless surrender. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Bring to mind your deepest fear, the one that makes your heart race, the one you've been running from. Now imagine yourself opening completely to this fear, surrendering all resistance. Don't try to change it or fight it. Simply allow it to be fully and completely. Feel yourself becoming like water, accepting all forms without losing your essence. Stay with this practice until you feel the shift from resistance to acceptance, from fear to peace. The universe cannot give you what you're blocking through fear, but it rushes to fill the space created by surrender. Chapter 30, the final revelation. In the quiet of his study, Gilbert sat surrounded by hundreds of books, spiritual texts, metaphysical treatises, ancient manuscripts. For decades, he had searched for the key that would unlock the mysteries of manifestation. He had traveled to distant temples, studied with renowned teachers, and practiced countless techniques, yet true power eluded him. You have been searching outside yourself for what has always existed within. The greatest truth, the one that sages and mystics have protected through the ages, is that you are not merely a receiver of reality, but its very source. The backwards law was never about technique or method. It was pointing to something far more fundamental. The moment you stop seeking is the moment you recognize your true nature as the creator of all you experience. This is not metaphor or philosophy, it is the deepest truth of existence. When you push against reality, you create the illusion of separation between yourself and what you desire. In doing so, you forget that you are the very power that brings all things into being. There is no force outside of you to petition, no external source to please. You are the source. Hazel discovered this truth during a moment of profound stillness. After years of spiritual seeking, she finally stopped all practices, all techniques, all attempts to manifest. In that complete cessation of effort, she saw with startling clarity that she had always been the creator. Her desires weren't signals sent to some distant universe. They were the universe itself expressing through her. From that moment, her reality transformed instantly, not through effort or attraction, but through recognition of her true nature. She saw that every circumstance in her life was not happening to her, but through her. This wasn't about controlling reality. It was about awakening to her role as reality's source. The Creator's declaration: sit in absolute stillness, close your eyes, and feel the presence of your own awareness, the unchanging consciousness that has witnessed every moment of your life. Now recognize that this awareness is not separate from the power that creates worlds. Speak these words with the authority of one who knows their true nature. I am not seeking power, I am power itself. I am not attracting reality, I am creating reality. Everything I experience flows from my own being. I declare this. Truth not as an affirmation, but as a recognition of what has always been. Let this declaration arise not from desire or need, but from the unshakable knowing of your true nature as the source of all creation. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Throughout these chapters, you have uncovered what mystics and sages have known since time immemorial, the great paradox that lies at the heart of creation. You understand that effort was never the path to manifestation, struggle was never the way to success, force was never the key to power. The truth stands revealed. You are the source from which all creation flows, not through doing, but through being, not through seeking, but through knowing, not through effort, but through allowing. This understanding transforms everything. You no longer need to chase after your desires, for you recognize is that they arise from your own infinite nature. You no longer need to struggle against circumstances, for you see that all circumstances flow from your own being. You no longer need to force reality to conform to your will, for you are the very consciousness from which reality springs. The backwards law is not merely a technique. It is the fundamental nature of existence itself. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing, creation becomes as effortless as dreaming, success becomes as inevitable as the dawn. You stand now at the threshold of infinite possibility. Universe awaits your command, not through force or effort, but through your simple recognition of what has always been true. You are not separate from the power you seek. You are that power expressing itself through the unique form you call I. Let this understanding settle deep within you. Feel the relief of knowing you no longer need to struggle. Experience the freedom of recognizing your true nature as the source of all creation. The door has opened to a new way of being, one where effort dissolves into ease, where struggle transforms into flow, where resistance melts into acceptance. The choice before you now is simple. Will you step fully into this truth? Will you allow yourself to create with the effortless power that has always been yours? The universe awaits your next command, not through force, but through the quiet knowing of your own infinite nature. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book, which will change your life.